Hey y'all, it's Anime Man. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 3 of Sarazanmai. And I gotta say, this episode finally gave us the Ensa episode I've been waiting for since the very get-go. Because last week we had a Kuji Kazuki episode that was centered around those two. Then in episode 1, it was mostly just a Kazuki episode. So to finally see our third Ball Guinness episode was so fucking good, I gotta say. And let me explain why now. What I like about this episode is it retroactively improves episode 1 because it explains why Enta looked distressed when Kazuki quit the soccer club because they were the golden duo. And additionally, Enta was starting to feel feelings of love for Kazuki. And that is the reason why, essentially, he's always so pushy in regards to topics that involve Kazuki, and I like that. Then, aside from giving us that characterization, the reveal that he actually loves Kazuki, I also like how during this episode, you see how far the bond between these two go. Because Enta would pretty much risk himself to try to protect the spot that himself and Kazuki used to use when he was younger, and he pretty much, even though he put a decent amount of fight, he got his ass whooped. But what I like about this episode was, you have Kuji show up, and even though he doesn't lay a fist on those two guys that were pretty much bullying, and I like how at the very least it shows you, even though Kuji has an unpleasant personality, at the very least it does a serviceable job of showing off that due to Kuji, at the very least sometimes good things do happen. So that's also another thing I like about this episode. It didn't completely ignore the other characters in the cast. Then, aside from giving us Enta characterization, I also like how throughout this episode, you get to see, even on the inside, he has like these fucking overdramatic delusions where he imagines he's confessing to Kazuki. And this episode really got to me for a sec, because I thought it was happening, I was pumped up, I was excited, I was tense, and then when it revealed it was just a fucking illusion, and he was just kissing the cop, I was like, oh, episode. You trolled me pretty hard, I'll give you credit for that. You got my emotions pumping really, really loud, so I'll give the episode credit for that. It made me feel a lot of emotions throughout the episode, of excitement, of disappointment, but in a good way, because I was like, oh. And it made me now root for Enta, which is a lot, because finally, I can safely say I like most of the main cast in this show. Then aside from that, aside for giving us layers to Enta's character, I also liked how during this episode, it showed off a bit more of his sister on her dating this man that was actually ended up being turned into a Kappa zombie, who was this criminal guy that pretty much just gathers kisses from multiple people. And what I like is, I like how it led into a fight with a bit more emotional stakes, because while yes, this anime is, at least for now, at 3 episodes in, there still hasn't been a villain with presence, which I gotta say is a slight weakness. I like how at the very least it's slowly getting better, because at least now they showed up when our 3 main heroes showed up to protect the people from this guy that's getting kisses from these women. At the very least, in this case, they were also doing it to protect the sister of Enta. So I like that, because it made me root for the main characters even more to succeed, because it showed the sister to be, at the very least, somewhat sweet in this episode. And I like that. Slowly, the fight scenes are getting a bit more better. I'd say the only thing is they need to I believe they need to have the cops do more stuff soon. But the end of the episode was reassuring, because near the end, even their leaders all like, if they don't do anything soon, they're going to be given the death penalty. So at the very least, that has me pumped up. I am so hyped. So at the very least, the episode did end off on a good note from a story perspective too. Because at the very least, this episode, showing off that those 2 cops are going to be involved pretty soon, so we might get some epic shit. So, ended off pretty well. And that's why I also thought I did well from a story standpoint. Now, and also I did well from a character standpoint. Now, on to the animation. I'd say really that's the only thing that's while the animation was good in the sequences where it wasn't reused, in the scenes where it was reused, at times it just makes you want to wish, if I literally didn't have the timer on the screen, I would literally like just speed through the sequences when they're reusing animation, because at times it's getting hella noticeable. So I'd say that's the only weakness. While the animation on the non-reused animation is good, they're using a bit too much bank animation for at least in my liking. And bank animation is pretty much just reanimation usage. So I'd say that was the weak point about the animation. But overall, it looked good though. Just an observation. Art looked nice. I liked the way the colors popped. And the voice performances were great. And I did like the music overall. And that's how I'm going to rate this episode an 8 out of 10. Had a lot of good elements, and I honestly liked every scene that involved Ensa this week, and I honestly cannot wait to see more. Hopefully it leads to him either confessing towards Kazuki or something interesting, because they do have the build-up in this episode, and hopefully we get the payoff. But I'd say overall, I'm loving what I'm seeing. So anyways, guys and gals, these are my thoughts on that third episode. Comment on your thoughts on the episode in the comment section below. Rate the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later if you subscribe for more. Thank you all so much for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.